Well, hello, everybody. Here we are again in podcast land in prosperous County Kildare. That was a little tune there, and that instrument might give you a clue as to who we have sitting here beside us today. And the tune was called
Donald Ian Rankin.
Donald Ian Rankin. There's the intro. So welcome back anyway, folks, to episode 2. And I have beside me today the one and only, the multi-instrumental, multi-talented, what else was I supposed to say about you? He wrote it all down here. Declan Aungier, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the room.
Thanks so much, Mick. Good morning. And I know it's after 12 o'clock, but being as we're both musicians, we both know it's morning up until about 2:30 in the day.
Yeah, it's about 7 o'clock.
Oh, yeah, right. Oh, you're getting up earlier now, are you?
Declan, thank you so much for being here today. You were on the radar as soon as I found out this was happening, and thank you for coming along.
Oh, are we finished already? Oh, God.
Yeah.
No, thanks, Mick. It's a pleasure to be here, and always great to work with you.
Freaking pleasure to be anywhere, isn't it?
That's the
At
truth.
our age.
That's the truth.
You know?
That's the truth. I mean, if you add us up together, you probably get about 110 or 115 or something.
A little bit more, I think.
Yeah, yes.
Listen, now, Declan, tell me, you were brought up in Allenwood.
Yes.
You now live in Ratangan.
That's correct. Yes.
And music is your life.
Well, I suppose it is. Yes, my father played the fiddle. His father played the melodeon. My father was Bill Aungier. A lot of the times years ago, the surname was pronounced Danger because my surname originally had a D apostrophe in front of it.
I did not know
Yes,
that.
so D Aungier was the original. My people are very new into Ireland. They came with the Huguenots in 1789.
Right.
And they came over at the time of the French Revolution. Most people would be of Norman descent or Viking descent or whatever.
I never knew that.
Yeah. And they came over and they were merchant bankers, Protestant and very wealthy.
Yeah.
And now we're accordion players, Catholic and broke.
Well, our mutual buddy, Brian Duffy, in Clane, always referred to you and called you Danger.
Yes.
And I had thought it was because Declan Aungier.
Yeah.
So
No, that's it. And if you go back to the old newspapers, I used to work in the Leinster Leader newspaper, and the old papers from the late 1800s would reference people like Bill Danger and John Danger and people like that. And that's how the name was pronounced that time. But yeah, I'm from Allenwood. I come from Allenwood Middle, between the cross and the chapel on the opposite side of the road. And that's my father was Willie Aungier from Littletown, and my mother was Anne Dunn, and she came from what was known as originally the Back Road, which when the power station was built then became Station Road, but now the power station is gone, I suppose it's the Back Road again.
Yeah.
And my dad, my mother was born in 1941, now she passed away about a year and a half ago, but my father was born in 1926. So he was of a whole other generation again. Like, it's hard to believe if he was alive next year, he'd be 100 years of age.
100 years of age.
You know, and he would have had great memories. Like, his education finished probably when he was about 1938, 39, you know.
My father wasn't even born.
There you go. Yeah, and it was like before the Second World War or anything like that. So, you know, he was a great man for the music and all that. He was very much a man of that era, you know, and big into Fianna Fáil and the Pioneers and all that, but loved the music, and played the fiddle. His father played the melodeon, my father played the fiddle, and we were all growing up then. He made sure we all got the chance to learn the accordion.
Yeah.
You know.
And so Allenwood, and you worked in the Leader then, and I think I remember you left the Leader and you went at the music. Well, you've always been involved in the music.
Yeah, I did go full time in music at the end of 1991, but I had been playing music like from 1979. I got my first music lesson in October 1979 on a Friday night, and the following morning the Pope landed in Dublin. Now, I'm not saying that the two events are connected, but I'd like on some level to think that maybe they are.
He wanted to hear you. So who was the first lesson off, Declan?
It was a lady in Naas called Phyllis Stack.
Oh,
she lived just in Naas, and she taught accordion and piano. And I went to her for a couple of years, and I struggled, and it was no good. And I liked hearing the music that my father played on the records, but I couldn't make head nor tail of it. And then, for some reason, when I was 13, I went to a fleadh with my father, and I'd been to fleadhs before, and I just thought the music was fantastic. And it was the year I'd left national school to start secondary school in Clane. And the following day, I took the accordion out from under the bed in the middle of the summer, which was most unusual, and started playing tunes that I kind of had in my head I didn't know I had. And at the time, Brendan Shine had a television show on a Monday night called Nice and Easy, and I started recording these songs onto a tape recorder. Of course, nobody had a video recorder.
Yeah.
I recorded these songs, and I started learning waltzes like The Moon Behind the Hill and things like that, and Sleeve No On.
Yeah.
And of course, you see, this was this was the start of. I remember the first one I think I would have learned on that Monday would have been The Moon Behind the Hill. And you see, if you can play one tune, you can play two. And if you can play two, then you can play five. And it snowballed and went on and went on.
Yeah.
And I just got absolutely hooked. It was the first time in all the years that what was coming out of my accordion was sounded like what my father was playing on the records. The records he had of the Galaglass Kelly Band and Richie Kelly and Dermot O'Brien and all those people.
So one day it just clicked.
It just clicked.
Yeah.
Yes.
And see, I would have been away for a lot of your career. I lived in England from 89 to 2000, so I wouldn't have been around for a lot of it. But
yeah,
you played with a lot of the big names, didn't you?
I did, yeah. Well, I mean, when I went full-time at the music back in 1991, the first band I was with was Matt Levy up in Athy, and Matt was terrific because Matt was doing all the American country, Clint Black and Dwight Yoakam and all that. We were doing Garth Brooks before Garth Brooks had actually happened here in Ireland.
Yeah.
I remember hearing songs like The Dance for the first time and If Tomorrow Never Comes and Friends in Low Places, and no one knew them. We used to do a fairly regular gig in Bad Bob's up in Temple Bar in Dublin, and those people up there would have known, but around the country nobody did. But then that all began to change. Yeah. I was with Matt for about 9 years, and then I was with Jimmy Buckley for about 9 months. Jimmy Buckley then for about 3 months, and then I got word that John Hogan was looking for a keyboard player possibly who played the accordion, which of course I did. And that really appealed to me because John was incredibly successful, getting huge crowds everywhere. And also his bass player, Greg Traynor, just lived in Edenderry, which was like 9 miles away. So it was much closer to me than having to go down to Limerick to meet up with Jimmy Buckley's band or anything like that. Yeah. So within a year of having walked out the gate of the Leinster Leader in Naas, I was in John Hogan's band, which was one of the biggest bands. It was at that stage with the 3 top bands on the road playing dances would have been John Hogan, Declan Ernie and Daniel O'Donnell.
Yeah.
And so it was great after a year to arrive at that stage. And it was a great time because you'd never be leaving the house wondering who would be many at the gig.
Yeah,
there was huge crowds everywhere, particularly up the North Antrim coast and all around that area. But no, he was very, very popular. So that was that stage. But the early stage then was different because when I was in school in Clane in first year, of course, I got bitten by this accordion bug. There was a chap there I met from Robertstown called Dennis Moran.
Dennis, yeah.
And he told me his father played. So I came home and told my mother and father I met this. Oh, sure, that's Dinny's son. I didn't know who Dinny Moran was. But anyway, we made arrangements and I met Dinny Moran in Robertstown in my life.
Boys of Vic.
Oh, God, my life was never the same. He was such a character.
Yeah.
And such a player.
Yeah. A
great player. I think the thing that made Dinny different to most other players, Dinny was a great man to play. There was loads of great guys playing all the Cayley stuff and all that sort of thing. But at the same time, Dinny could turn around and play like quick steps and old foxtrots and real old classical type waltzes. He had an immense repertoire and tangos and everything. And I got to know him. And the first band I played in, which was probably the most important one, I suppose, of all, was Dinny Moran's band. And I started with Dinny on Easter Sunday night, 1987. Which, God help us, is 38 years ago now. And the first gig I did was it was a fundraising dance in the parish hall in the town of Rathangan, where I live now. And I never pass the hall in Rathangan without thinking about that first night. That was and like I've played with loads of guys all through the years, and but you never forget the fellow who gave you the start.
Well, I was only saying that our last podcast, our first podcast, actually this is episode 2, folks, but I was saying that to Pat McGrath that my leg up was Martin Taylor in England, and to this day I will talk about him all the time because he gave me the leg up.
Yes, Yeah. I mean, there's things about that first gig I remember so much, and things I learned from Dinny. Dinny was great. Obviously, by the time I joined Dinny's band, I could play.
Yeah.
But Dinny taught you other stuff. For instance, on that first night, the place was packed, and of course, there was a break after an hour or so, maybe an hour and a half, for tea and sandwiches. Of course, they were all homemade salad and white bread sandwiches, of course.
Yeah.
Nobody in Ireland had anything else. And they plugged in the Burko boiler and begot it in the fuse trip. And there was fierce rulia-boolia about this now anyway, and there was no power in the kitchen and this, that and the other. And I had got a new extension lead for going to do the gig, and I didn't need to use it. And I said to Tinny, I said, the sockets the other end of the kitchen are working. If I give them the extension lead, they'll be able to plug that in and then plug it in the... No, he says, the longer it takes them to figure this out, the less playing we'll have to do.
Oh, God bless him. He was a great character.
He was, yes, yeah.
We were just talking before we came on here, folks, that Matt Brown released a CD. I spoke about this in the last podcast as well, that he released a CD 8 to 10 years ago, and on that CD was Dinny Morn, who has passed away, Barry Klusky, who has passed away, Pádraig Brown, who has passed away, Paul Flynn from Naas, who has passed away. Who did I leave out? There's Matt himself.
And Matt himself, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's, I'm not saying, Declan, that has anything got to do with your ages, but it's the importance of getting people in and doing these podcasts and remembering them.
It is.
Putting them down there. But Dinny, it's hard to believe he's gone.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But he was such a force of nature and such fun and laughter. But now, serious enough, when he got to play, everything had to be played right, as in right his way.
Yeah.
But that was all right too. At the end of the day, he was the boss. He was the band leader. He was coming from the era, sort of the 1950s, with the dance bands and the Cayley band. So he had this strict tempo sound in his head, and I had to sort of get my playing into suit his way of playing. But that was okay. Looking back on it, that was good. That was fine. And it was with Dinny for a good while, and then I had my own little band then for a little while with another man from Kildare Town who's passed away, and that was Bart Guilfoyle. Bart played the drums. And we had Gary Knight on guitar with us, then sang towards the end of that. But then I went playing about 1990 or so with 3 local guys, Peter Gordon, Bobby Bulger, and, as we said, the late great Matt Brown.
3 absolute legends.
Absolutely. Yeah. Matt Brown was a legend here around the Prosperous area, around the Kildare area. And I always thought, and I might have said this to you before, Mick, I thought it was hilarious. Matt Brown worked in McCarthy's hardware shop here in Prosperous, and he's the only man I knew that you go in, I'm looking for Matt Brown, well, do you want the man or the paint? Now there's probably a Matt White and a Matt Black somewhere, but Matt Brown was our man, you know.
Yeah, so. He was an amazing character, and he used to run the crazy nights, and
I know great memories of playing with Matt and the fun you'd have, and the gig would be over before you'd renew it because it was just so enjoyable. I remember one night we were playing at a pub up in my valley, and it was a Sunday night thing, late on a Sunday night, and it was an open air barbecue, and we were playing away, and it was all grand, and the canal runs by the back of the pub, and of course the sun started going down, and every insect, fly, spider, mobile dragonfly that was, in the county, of course, would settle up by the canal.
Yeah.
But the problem was, you see, we were down by the pub, which is about 200 yards, and we had these big spotlights down on top of the band.
Lovely.
And of course, when all these insects saw the lights, they came like it was like a horde of locusts.
An invitation.
Yeah. So we were there playing away. Anyway, I turned around and we were kind of in the dark, but not fully. But I turned around and Matt had a face on him like I don't know what. And I said, what's wrong with you, Matt? He said, I've just drank a daddy long legs. This daddy long legs insect had landed on top of his pint, which he had left on the floor tom beside the floor tom. He never hit the floor tom. It was only there to hold pints. And of course, he picked it up in the dark and took a mouthful of it, not realising that the insect was sprawled across the top of it.
The biggest possible insect, of course.
Yeah, of course. Yes. Yeah. So I know, I had great times with Matt and Peter Gordon. Peter was a great guy to work with as well.
Yeah.
Peter would have sang in Cayley band that my father was in back in the late 1950s, the great Shamrock Star Cayley band.
Yeah.
So it was a great connection then to be with Peter as well. And
I was a big fan of Peter's.
oh, great, yeah, great vocalist, great deep vocalist, and he'd pick great songs.
I seen Peter playing in bands, and he had a crowd in the palm of his hand.
Oh, he
The
would have.
Dance floors full, and just every word he said was heard. And
Yes, yeah. He had great diction.
Yeah.
You know, absolutely fantastic. There was one song I used to always love him singing. It was an old Merle Haggard song called "The Farmer's Daughter."
Yeah.
And it was a brilliant song, and he would do that to an absolute T. Now,
Yeah.
it was a great song. The other man in the band then was Bobby Bulger. Bobby came from Salins, lives in Naas now. I'm still in touch with Bobby. Bobby's still playing away and doing good. Yeah. And Bobby was a fierce character and is still a fierce character. Bobby was at the time was on the road as a salesman for Zether tractors. So there was always sales being twisted and this going on and it was always fun and there was that type of thing. They were just great guys to work with,
Yeah.
The salesmanship came out of him, I suppose what I'm trying to say. He was just a great guy and a great singer as well, nice tidy guitar player.
Lovely guitarist, good at the old lead and everything.
Yeah.
But the kind of fella you see walking down the street and you look at him and say, he's an entertainer.
That's the truth.
He had that look about him.
Yeah. Walk into a room and you knew something was going to happen and it was going to be good.
Yeah.
And Bobby was great. Now, I was mostly, I played a lot of keyboards by that time. And but it was great to come in with the guys because they were just like bass guitar, lead guitar, and drums. So there was loads of space for a keyboard player to play, and it freed us up. Then we could do all sorts of things that the boys always wanted to do because I'd play all the brass section parts on the keyboard, and all that. So we do all things like Old Man Trouble, and I'd play all the trumpet parts and things like that. We do the Hucklebuck, and I'd play the saxophone solo on the keyboard as well. Things like that. So they were great times. I was with those guys during the summer of 1990 here when Italia 90 was on.
Yeah.
And sure, we got hoarse singing "Ole, Ole," and give it a last jack and all that sort of thing. And they were great guys. Bobby, going back to Bobby, of course, Bobby comes from Salins, and his father was Christy Bulger. Christy Bulger would have had a dance band. He was a saxophone player going back into the 40s and into the 50s. And he would have played with the great Gabriel Flood, the trumpet player from I think it was Maynooth area, and Bertie Spooner, who played drums and piano accordion from Bertie lived over near Kilmeague. They were the local musicians of that era.
Yeah.
You
see, you're telling me stuff here now that I didn't know.
Yeah, Bertie was good. Bertie played the drums, but I remember actually one of the things that made an impact on me when I was very, very young. I didn't realise that after. I was at a concert in the hall in Allen, and Bertie Spooner came out to play a piano accordion, and I had heard all these accordion players before and playing Irish music, and I was very young. I was maybe 7 or 8, and Bertie came up to the microphone and he played Wooden Heart. Now, to me, Wooden Heart at that time was Elvis. That was a pop song.
Yeah.
So that made me think, maybe these accordions can play stuff other than the Cayley stuff.
Yeah, I know where you're coming from.
And I just thought that was, that was a kind of a moment. All these things in music seem to always come up and get me. You know what I mean? I was always into music. I used to listen to the songs on the radio before I started school. I go back to 73, 74. I started school just after Easter 75. And when we came to the Christmas party of 1975, I was in baby infants. And there was a singing competition. And the prize was a selection box. And although I'm off the sweet stuff now, and as I explained to me, I that doesn't mean I don't like it. So there was a singing competition, and every other young lad sang "Twinkle Twinkle Little Star" or "Mary Had a Little Lamb," And I put up my hand and she called me and I sang 2 verses and 2 choruses of Rhinestone Cowboy.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you see, I'd been listening to all this music.
Did you get the selection box?
I did. And one of the following year, even though I forgot the second verse.
Excellent.
I was listening to music all that time. My mother, God be good to her, would have the radio and the Gay Burn Hour would be on.
Yeah.
And you'd hear songs that he might play. And of course, there was no television, of course, at that time. And then I remember the sponsor programs being on the radio. And I would listen to those things, and Mitchelstown Creamery, the home of good cheese, and the Glen Abbey show, and all those things, And I'd listen. Liam Nolan was a great presenter. He used to be on around the middle of the day, and he'd play music I would listen to as well.
Yeah.
And I do remember songs that would have been popular at the time, with like "Beautiful Noise" by Neil Diamond.
Great song.
And I took Everton literally. You see, when you're 5, you believe Everton. So Linda Anderson would come on singing, "I beg your pardon, I never promised you a rose garden." I thought that was actually someone who had ordered a garden and didn't get what they wanted. And then Charlie Rich had the other, what do you call it, most beautiful girl in the world.
Have you seen her? I don't know where she is.
But there was a line in it, "Tell her I'm sorry, tell her I need my baby." I thought someone had abducted a child. Again, when you're 5, you see it, you believe it. But the funny thing was, I do remember at that time hearing those songs on the radio and thinking, them songs are getting louder coming to the end. But they're not getting louder. There's something happening. And I know now I was hearing a key change.
Yeah.
Now, no right-minded child at the age of 4 could hear a key change, but I could.
Yeah.
Unknown to myself. So obviously,
but didn't know how to.
No,
word
I didn't know what it
yeah.
was, and I didn't know no one to ask. But obviously the musical ear was there, for good or bad. It was there from a very very early time.
Yeah.
And
so. you have to, because I'm imagining you learned reading notes. Did you?
I did, yeah.
I think you've got the gift of both.
Yeah, I did. But when I started to cut loose then on my own in 1983, I was learning from tapes that my father would get me.
Yeah.
He'd go to the market in Kildare and he brought home a tape one time of an accordion player. He's passed away since, and I'd love to have met a man called Malachy Doris. Malachy was from County Tyrone, and it was like waltzing through Ireland. It was 101 waltzes on it.
Yeah.
And I'd sit and learn all these tunes.
You see, I knew a fellow one time. He, you put any sheet of paper in front of him, an accordion on his lap, he'd play. He'd play it note for note. Perfect.
Yes. Yes.
Take that sheet away, he couldn't play Twinkle Twinkle.
Oh dear. Yeah. No, well, I wouldn't be a sight reader now, but if you gave me a sheet, I'd work it out and come back to you in half an hour and have it.
Yeah.
But you have to have the ear. If you're going to work as a musician, you have to have the ear as well. And I think, if you learn one of the standard songs that we all play in one key, you should be able to play in every key then, because you never know what situation you're going to wind up in, and play it. But no, that's what I was doing. And no, I always loved my father would have had albums. He had a load of albums, but the ones that stood out to me were Dermot O'Brien and the Galaglass Céilí Band, and those type of accordion players. That was kind of what I liked. And sure, Mick, I'd play in the morning before I go to school.
Yeah.
Practice the tunes on the desk in the school. Come home and do my homework and play again.
How old were you? Do you remember you had the tape out? Was it in the 80s? How old were you?
That was in I recorded my first album at the end in 1988.
So you were about
18. That's what I was.
18.
Yeah, see, my age is easy to figure out because I was born in 1970, so we're always turning around on zeros, so to speak,
Yeah, because we had that before I knew you.
Oh, good Lord.
We had that tape in our house.
Right.
And I think, did our dads work together? Or
yes.
But some way my father ended up with the tape, and that tape was played a lot in our house.
Wow, good Lord.
And here's another story. When I moved to England, we used to go for the odd little holiday over to the east coast to a lovely place called Skegness.
Yes.
And they're all markets, and like years ago there's markets everywhere.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, here wasn't the bold Declan Aungier on one of the stalls, and I bought the tape. God. The very tape that my father had all those years.
I'll give you the money now. No one should have to. No one should have to do that.
But and then you see, I always knew of you, but we had never met. And then when I came home, I was from England in 2000. I was only a couple of years home and started doing a bit of recording. And a mutual friend, Alan Brereton, he did a bit of recording for me. And he said, Mick, I'm going to get an accordion in on that song called Dublin in the Rain.
A great song, by the way.
Thank you very much.
No, great song. I'm not saying that because you're sitting there. Yeah. That's a song that should be pushed more. That's a great song.
Yeah, thank you. I'm very proud of it. And he rang me. He says, I've got the accordion done on that song, Mick. I says, oh, lovely. Who did you get? He says, Declan Aungier. And I was like, no way. No way. Not Declan Aungier. Seriously. He's, I got Declan Aungier. So.
That was a good... Yeah, I did the first album in 1988. Now, how that came about was I had started playing at the Flas and stuff in the 1980s. And I wound up... I was All-Ireland champion under 18 in 1987. Which drew me very much to the attention of Richie Kelly. Richie's people came from around the Allen Ballatigue area as well, even though Richie himself was brought up just right at Newlands Cross in Dublin. He was a phenomenal accordion player. Yeah. And Richie was one of the very few men that were both All-Ireland champion in the classical mode and at the Fla as well. And they're two very different things. And Richie's father, my father, would have been distant cousins. As you know, there's a lot of Kellys over around Littletown, around that area. They'd all be relations of theirs. And Richie was on to me to make an album, and wouldn't make a tape. I wasn't, to my great regret, I wasn't a big enough artist, I'm still not, to make a record. I'd love to have made a record.
Yeah.
The only records I have is potatoes. But
it's all back now, doesn't it?
It is, it is indeed, yeah. So Richie made arrangements for that. And myself and Bart Guilfoyle were playing together. We were doing a residency, just the two of us, accordion, full Cayley night in a pub in Kildare. And we played the Saturday night in Kildare, myself and Bart. And up early Sunday morning, my father brought the whole lot of us, along with Maura Heinen from Alan Wood, and we'll talk a bit about her too. Brought us up to Slane Recording Studios, up in Slane. We were up there, I think, say 10 o'clock on Sunday morning, recorded the whole album, had it all done by 5:30, 6 o'clock, back in the car, tore down the road and played in Kildare Town again that night.
Wow.
A whole album in a day. Now I spent 3 days recording one tune I'm not sure about. Do you know what I mean?
That was some going, an album in a day.
It was heavy going, but I was playing a lot. And so on all the tunes was under my hand and I knew exactly what I wanted to do. But it was my first time in the studio. Yeah. So that was kind of a bit daunting. And I brought with me a woman who lived around the corner from me at the time, Maura Heinen. She was originally Maura Connolly from Eden Derry area, and she came up. She was a fantastic fiddle player. Again, was All-Ireland champion several times back in the 60s, and we did a couple of tracks. I think we did 2 tracks together on that album, and it was the only time she ever recorded solo, possibly the only time she ever recorded. So I was glad to get her. She's still good and a great player, but I was glad to sort of bring her on board that time to do that.
I met her a couple of times. God, it must be 20 years ago since I've seen. Is she still about?
She is, yeah.
Is she in Robertstown direction?
I think she is. I knew her father as well, and her father used to just tell great stories. Like back in they would have went over to work, looking for work in Scotland in the 1930s and 40s, and they'd be going around from one farm to another trying to get jobs, pulling potatoes or beet or whatever be going.
Yeah.
And if they were, sometimes they would have nowhere to stay.
Yeah.
And if they were walking through a town, they'd keep going until they heard a house where there might be music coming out of. And they'd knock on the door and ask, could they come in and listen to the music? And if your man let him in, then of course the Irish boys take out their own fiddles and melodeons and they'd play it. And they were phenomenal players, Yeah. And of course then the Scotch boys would be all over them, and then they'd have accommodation for a week or two weeks in this house. Yeah. So great.
So simple. God,
yes.
Think of it.
Yeah. They were tough times back in the 1930s. I go back to my father being born in 1926. Like the state was only 3 years old at the time.
Yeah.
So that they were hard. But the first job my father ever had was when he was 13, and he would work all day with a farmer, and his wages was the farmer would give him his dinner.
Yeah. I remember you saying that to me when you think of it, just to survive.
Yeah, and that meant that his mother didn't have to feed him, which eased the pressure at home.
Yeah.
In the home place. But look, thank God we've moved on a lot.
Yeah. My father told me only last week that he basically started. They had a small farm when they were kids, and he basically started doing the work of a man when he was 8.
Wow.
Do you know?
Yeah.
8 years old.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the way it was. But
Like heavy work.
it was, yeah, but the music kept my father going. My father was mad for accordions, wanted to play an accordion, had to get an accordion, saved up the money.
Yeah.
Went up to Dublin. With the money, he had to buy what he would refer to as a top coat, and it was going to Walton's then to buy the accordion. So he bought the top coat first, and then went across to Walton's to get the accordion. The accordions would be advertised on the newspaper. When he got there, the accordion had gone up in price, and he didn't have enough money. So he had to make a decision then and there. Was he going to play the accordion
or the fiddle?
Or the fiddle.
Wow.
Because he could afford a fiddle,
yeah,
but he'd have to go home again and save up more money to buy the accordion. So, and to get from Littletown to Dublin, I suppose, back in the 1940s,
was a big deal.
Was a big deal.
Yeah.
So rather than go through all that again, he bought the fiddle and came home and became a fiddle player. And that's how it all started with him. And he did eventually get an accordion, and that got stolen on him. So he kind of gave up on that then.
It wasn't to be.
It just wasn't to be. But he made sure we all got accordions and accordion lessons then. We were all grown up. My father was always mad for music, and he would have been going to the dances like in around Kildare, like from the early 40s on, you know. And he was a big fan of the Galaglass Cayley band when they started first. He remembered them starting it. He heard them for the first time it was a little parish hall down in Clane, and thought they were fantastic. And my father was involved with all his life with Ballatigue football, and he started to book them for dances and stuff in the hall, at the old Timber Hall in Allen. Do you remember the old Timber Hall in Allen? It was on the side of the hill there, where the new school is now.
Oh yeah.
And or actually, sorry, where the hall itself is in Allen. There was a timber hall there. It was originally a sort of a recreational hut from the Curragh Barracks, and they bought it and dismantled it. There was one in Allen Wood beside the Scow Bridge as well. Yeah. And they put that there, and that was the dance hall. Sunday night dance there. It's where my mother and father met, actually. And but anyway, getting back, my father would run these dances for Ballatigue to raise money, and the band he'd always get with the Galaglass Cayley band from Naas, and they were £8.10 shillings. Was the price of 8 musicians to play for 6 hours.
Oh Jesus!
But anyway, he got them for a couple of years, and then one of the younger members said, well, can we not get a different band? They wanted a band to play Quick Steps or something. So he reluctantly agreed to get a different band, and they got this other band that played the more modern music, for want of a better phrase, and the crowd wasn't nearly as big. So it went back, we'll get the Galaglass again. So my father went back to meet Mrs. Keogh, who did the bookings for the Galaglass, and remember, it was £8.10 shillings. Well, at this stage now, they were after winning the All-Ireland Cayley band competition, and were making their first record, and went up to £35. £35, and there was no way. That was just beyond them. So that was it. But that, no, my father was always mad for music, you know.
Yeah.
On my mother's side, my grandmother was a singer, and she would sing the old songs at the time, like Galway Bay and all that sort of thing, and there was a great story told, and I'm going to tell it to you now. She was at a house dance in Lowtown. You know where Lowtown is, between Robertstown and Allen Wood. And she was very young, maybe about 17 or so. And there was a guy there called Andy Dunn, no relation to Mick now or anything like that now. And Andy was a melodeon player. He was the man who would play the music for the house dance. And Andy was a good player, but he kind of took his music very seriously, insofar as if he was playing Cayley tunes, then they could up and dance a half set. But if he played a waltz, like Sleeving Them On or something, you weren't supposed to dance, but to sit and listen to him, you see. That's what you're supposed to do, you see, right? So this was grand anyway. But as the night went on, Andy was kind of way older than Chrissy, my grandma. People began to realise he was kind of talking to her and trying to chat her up and trying to coax Chrissy to sing. But there was a big age gap between the two of them, you see. So this was going on and going on and going on and going on, and eventually she relented and she said she would sing a song, and she did, and she sang a song called Maids When You're Young Never Wed an Old Man, at which point Andy fired the melodeon into the case and stormed off out the door.
He's got no fluorine.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
So that was back again. I'm going back probably the late 1920s.
Yeah.
The house dance she was at was the brother of the man she would eventually marry. She married Mick Dunn, and the man whose house dance they were at was a man called Tim Dunn. Tim and Biddy lived in Lowtown, and Tim was my mother's uncle. Tim was a veteran of the First World War.
Nice.
Fought in the Battle of the Somme, the Battle of Ypres, and all those sort of things. And as youngsters, he would tell us stories and tell us about all that era as well. And he told us one time about going to Mass at the turn of the century. Now, the turn of the century, I'm talking 1899 to 1900.
Yeah.
And they all thought the end of the world was going to come. There was midnight Mass in Allen, and they all walked to Mass in Allen. For some reason, they thought this was going to be the changeover. Something was going to happen. Of course, they all walked home from Mass and nothing happened.
You'd be nearly raging with
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah, that was Tim Dunn. They all worked on the boats. My grandfather was Mick Dunn. He was known as the Yank Dunn because he went to work in America in the 1920s. Worked in the buildings and stuff over in New York and the Bronx and all that area.
Yeah.
And his father would have worked in America, say, 20, 25 years prior to that. 1895 to 1900, all around that time.
Yeah.
And he saw at the time the importance of education, that if you had education you could do better. You wouldn't just stuck being a labourer on the building sites in the Bronx for all of your life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they were, it's great to have met all those people going back the years and have those conversations with them,
Yeah, the chances are, Darren, that my grandfather, his name was Mick Herbert, might have worked with your grandfather on the boats, because he did.
There are people who know more about the boats than we do.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd say that's very, very possible. Yeah. But even on my father's side, Bill Aungier would have been a boatsman as well.
Yeah. And back to your daddy again. Did he give you great encouragement?
He did. He absolutely did. I think he probably couldn't believe it when the penny finally dropped. After, say, from 1979 to 83, I was really going over, and all of a sudden, at the age of 13, when most kids had turned away from music altogether,
Drive around.
Absolutely. It was like all the fuses of the car were now in the proper place, and the gearbox was synchronmeshed, and we turned the key, and it was just away we go.
Yeah.
And he was always great. He was a nice fiddle player, self-taught, and you try and learn tunes from him, but it was difficult to learn tunes from him because he couldn't play them slow. He could only play them at full speed.
Yeah.
And if you were stuck for the last 6 notes of a tune, he couldn't play them for you. He had to play the entire tune up to there and then to get to it. And then you'd say to him, play that again. But no, you had to play it all again from the start up to that point,
Yeah.
And he was he was a great man from that point of view. I remember when I was starting to kind of get going at it again. This had been about 1983, about October, November 83. I still had my first accordion. It was a little Ferrotti, an Eastern German little red accordion, and it was all right for a beginner, but it wasn't great. And I came home from school one evening, and he said, "Come in here to the sitting room. I have something to show you." And there was a green case with Hohner written on it. And when it opened up, it was a brand new Hohner piano accordion, 72 bass in black.
Yeah.
And it was just a wonderful instrument to play. And we'd no school the next day. I was going to Clane, down to Sculware in Clane at the time. And the Presentation Sisters were teaching down there. It wasn't all nuns, but there were some. And the following day was Presentation Day, so we all had the day off. And I started playing my new accordion that morning after breakfast about 9:15. And I had, they were popular at the time, I had a pair of beige corduroy trousers. And when I finished playing that night, my mother called me to go to bed. I took off the accordion, and I had worn off the corduroy off the top of the trousers, and they had gone black from the accordion.
Wow.
So I just
You played it that much?
Absolutely. Yes.
Played the life out.
Yeah. So yeah, I've always liked playing a few tunes, you know what I mean? So
Well, I always knew you played the piano accordion.
yeah.
And then I thought an accordion was either a button accordion or a piano accordion. But then I seen this beast
Oh yeah.
here, which I had never heard of till you got one. And it's like, to me, the difference between playing a fiddle and a fucking harmonica, do you know?
Yes. Yeah.
But you make it look so easy. It's basically a button accordion. What's the name of
What
it?
I play now is called the 5-row continental button accordion.
5 rows.
Yes, it's got 5 rows of buttons. No, it's not like a 2-row button box that most fellas that have a different note in and out. Mine has the same note
In and out.
in and out.
Yeah.
But I started getting very interested, I suppose, in my 20s in sort of continental music and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I was heavily influenced by a player who lives in Boston now, Finton Stanley. Finton played a 5-row box, and I got my first album of him, and I thought, this guy plays different to anybody I've ever heard before. This fella plays the accordion like Jimi Hendrix plays the guitar.
Yeah.
And it was just, so I said, I'm going to have to get myself one of these. Took a couple of years to get one, and then I got one, and then I played a bit on it, and then it sat in the corner for about 6 months. And I thought, well, are you going to keep at this? Are you going to go with the piano accordion now, or go to this button thing? So I embraced the button thing, and slowly but surely kind of got in on it, and they're a fabulous instrument. Although I gave up the piano accordion for about 20 years and went back at it then just around with the lockdown time with a whole new way of playing, and sort of reinvented the way I played the piano accordion, and so I enjoyed that too. It was almost like starting a new instrument.
Yeah.
You know.
I can't even begin to... I know the basic workings of a keyboard and the scales and stuff, but I can't work my head around
Well,
this.
I'm going to pick it up now, right?
Oh, you're going to do another tune?
When I play a tune. Is that all right? Hang on a sec.
God, there'd be nothing wrong with it, would
Hang
there?
on a sec now, yeah.
Declan has his machine here right beside him. He's going to...
You talk to the listener there.
Yeah, here he is. He's sitting down now.
Oh, dear God.
I have to check the levels now.
That's
on this.
all right. Let's see now.
Um,
Yeah, well, there's two. As you can see, there's
I'm
two.
looking at this now, folks. There's a row of white and black and white and black. I'm dizzy looking at it. It looks like somebody spilled their Smarties, black and white Smarties all over the place.
There's buttons both sides. So that's the right hand side. But over on the left, although there's a load of buttons, they're in two sections as well. There's two inner rows are bass notes. And then out from that, you've got 4 rows of chords: major, minor, 7, and diminished. So what you're doing is you're kind of playing, your left hand is accompanying your right hand. So we'll take, say, a real simple thing. Bass chord. So there's your accompaniment.
That's your waltz.
Yeah. Now we'll add the right hand now, nice and gently. So as you can see, it's a sort of a self-contained orchestra that accompanies itself.
It's unreal.
Now, the only other instrument that does that's the piano, but you can't bring the piano around with you.
No. You can, but you need a team of men and a big van.
There's times going through airports and I'm going out to do shows and stuff. I wish I was a piano player, because then I wouldn't have to bring anything.
Yeah, whistle player is quite good.
Whistle player, if a whistle player could bring me, but an accordion, unfortunately, is
just need big socks.
Is a problem. Yes, exactly. Yes. So anyway, I'll play a bit of a tune. I'm just going to leave off the headphones just for a moment, and I'm going to play this tune. This is a tune that was a big hit for the great Jimmy Shan, the Scottish accordion player back in the 1950s. And it's a tune I played as a quick step, but those of you who might have been doing Irish dancing back through the years, in whatever years, might have danced the Shim Saberta to this particular dance. It's a tune called the Bluebell Polka.
Oh, lovely. The Bluebell Polka.
Yes.
Absolutely lovely tune.
Yeah, it's a great tune. That tune became so popular in terms of sales that it actually entered the British charts in the 1950s.
No way.
In along with Elvis and Cliff Richard and
where did that tune come from?
it's a real old tune. I don't know. It was originally recorded by a guy, as far as I know, called Peter Wiper. Peter Wiper was a melodeon player who recorded stuff back in the 30s and 40s, and who told me first about Peter Wiper was the late great Christy Brereton from Blackwood, of course. Christy was another legend of local music.
Local, yeah.
Oh,
local,
yeah.
absolutely.
Yes, yeah. And so that's where it came from originally. It's been recorded loads of times, and they put words to it as well and all that. But I always thought it was a lovely tune to play, and I always get a kick out of playing.
But you make it look so easy.
Oh, God of Almighty!
Make it look so
Well,
easy.
Mick, I've been doing it for over 40 years. And if it's not somewhat easy to me now, it's time to quit and go and do something else.
I know, that was lovely.
So that Christopher Brereton, of course, was another legend of the local music scene, and he would have had his own band. We'll go back in reverse. The Dandies, of course, with his family band back in the sort of the late 60s and into the 70s and all. But before that, there was the Shamrock Star Cayley band. That they were kind of on the go of the late 50s. That my father was in that, Dinny Morden, Duxmore.
See, you're talking about stuff here now.
All those guys.
That would be forgotten if we hadn't done this today.
Right,
so
right.
Sorry for interrupting you.
That's all right. Yeah, and that was Christy. Christy played the button accordion and the piano accordion and the fiddle.
Yeah.
And when, again, just to talk about the Galaglass Cayley band, when they became popular, they had a saxophone. So Christy decided his band had to have a saxophone as well to sound like this. Now, he went away and got a saxophone and taught himself how to play it. Now, none of these guys would have had any teacher as such, really, just each other. And over a period of time, Christy figured out where the scale was on the saxophone, and he figured that there were other notes that he didn't need, but now and again he might accidentally hit the wrong switch or open the wrong hole. So he got pieces of a bicycle tube and he blocked up the ones that were outside the scale. So if he did accidentally press the wrong key, the thing wouldn't make any sound.
Yeah.
So they were coming home one night from playing a dance up in Parnell Square in Dublin, and the Parnell Square had all these ballrooms. It was a mecca of dancing at the time. And one of the boys said, "What make of a saxophone is it that Christy has?" And somebody says, "Well, I think it's mostly a Dunlop."
God, he was great. God, I remember him playing.
He was
in the locals, and
yeah.
I don't know if it's a true story or not, but I reckon they were playing that late one night session, and there was a few pints, and I reckon Christy fell asleep, and when he fell asleep, he was still playing. I don't know.
That's possible. Christy. Now, my father would have been very friendly with them. He spoke about Christy, and they were great footballers as well. And he said they used to train in the bog, and the reason they trained in the bog because there was an awful jaw on your legs. It built up all the leg muscles. But Christy and his brothers would play, and the brothers had worked out sort of plans where each fella would be, so any one of them could kick the ball over his head in a direction, and he knew without looking that his brother was going to be there. This is the sort of thing that Mick O'Dwyer brought in then back in the 70s, but Christy was at like back in the 40s, you know. Christy used to come and play a Sunday night dance in Allen Wood back in the 40s. There was turf camps in Allen Wood. People during the war came over from Mayo and west of Ireland and lived in Allen Wood in turf camps and harvested the turf because there was a shortage of fuel. And every Sunday night there'd be a social or a dance in the canteen in Allen Wood, just 200 yards from where I'm from originally. And the band was Christy Brereton on the piano accordion and two brothers, the Ward brothers, played two fiddles. And they'd push the tables together for the stage, and the boys would get up and play. And that was it. Two fiddles and an accordion. And then all the local girls would come and they'd be all dancing away. And during the break at the time, the two boys would get down with the fiddles and go in and have tea and sandwiches. And then when they'd be fed, they'd come out and they'd get up and play the two fiddles, and Christy go in for the tea and the sandwiches. But Christy used to be given out because, of course, there were ham sandwiches. But not only would the boys eat their sandwiches, they used to eat the ham over Christy's sandwiches as well.
So he got butter sandwiches.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, yeah. So that was that. Yeah, that was Christy, and Christy was the start of so much music.
Yeah.
In this area.
Yeah.
You know, another very important man.
Yeah.
Another man, a great friend of my father's, up in Allenwood South, I think it is, was a man called Willie Byrne. Willie Byrne died back about 1990, but Willie was a fiddle player as well. In, again, that same era, would have played with Dinny Moran's band. Actually, now, picture this. Willie Byrne played the fiddle, played all Cayley tunes, right? And he played, him and Dinny Moran played together on the piano. So Matt Brown told me that the reason he wanted to get into the music business, playing the drums, was he wanted to play 60s rock and roll.
Yeah.
And the first band he was in was Dinny Moore and Willie Byrne. So, which would be Cayley music non-stop all the time. You know, so that was that. That one, and that was that. They were all great. They were great guys, and you know, great men to keep the music going through all that era, which was a tough old era in Kildare and in Ireland as a whole, really. You know, you know, because we're talking the 1930s, 1940s. You know, so there you go. Look, it's been a great history of music all around the area. You know. There's always been guys playing, and it's great to see the continuity now, because you see, for me, it first appeared when I started seeing like Darren Brereton coming out to play. Yeah. Darren would have been Christie's grandson.
That's right.
You know, but now we've Zach Moran as well.
Phenomenal.
You know, Alan Brereton. You know, these are the sons and grandsons of these guys. You know, so it's great to see that the music is continuing. All the time.
I didn't want to let today go by without mentioning, it's just by strange coincidence, my neighbour and our friend, Sean Cross.
Oh, absolutely.
We had a little project there a few years ago, and Sean came down to do a few tunes, record a few tunes, and didn't the bowl Declan get involved, and Declan came down then. And he put the backing music on.
That's right. Yeah,
on the CD.
Sean was wanted to do a solo album, just on accordion,
so we had a launch night.
Yes.
And Declan came up trumps that night. He said, "Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to give Foster and Alan a ring." Yes. And he rang Mick Foster.
That's right. Sean would be a huge fan of Foster and Alan and Mick Foster. Huge fan. And we were putting together the launch night for the album, and then who would be the man, the best man of all to have? I said, well, Mick Foster. I said, well, I'll give Mick a ring and see. I'm fair play to Mick.
And behold,
I know another Kildare man, Mick. Mick's from Ballymore Eustace.
I did not know that.
Even though he's been living for years over in Mullingar. Yeah, he's from Ballymore Eustace originally.
Ah, right.
Yeah.
And he turned up fair play.
He did came and played. Him and Noel Battle came. Noel on the harmonica. And we had a great night. We had a great night.
But no, I have to say thank you for that one, because that was a big one.
It was mighty, all right. Yeah. So no, that's been my sort of history of music and all that sort of thing. And you know, it's been. I don't want to say it's been a great life, because that sounds like it's over. But it certainly has been phenomenal. Like, you know, and if someone sat down to me when I was 13 and told me the things was going to happen in my life, but I'm not, by the way, somebody who would be recognised in the street. I'm not a star or anything like it, nor do I want to be. But all I ever wanted to do was play music and not have to get up in the morning.
Yeah,
and I am playing music, and I still have to get up in the morning.
But you're. God, I think you've done every county in Ireland, and you still are. You average a gig a day every day.
Yeah, well, I do. I mean, I was in the bands and all that for years, and did all that sort of thing, and I played with John Hogan, and I went back with Jimmy Buckley for a while. Then Johnny Lockry, then Dave Lawler, and did a little bit with Tony Stevens from Cork as well, and Seamus Moore and all those guys. Yeah. And the last band I was in then, the last full-time band was Isla Grant's band.
Wow.
And we did that for a couple of years, and that was great. Isla and Al Grant. And that was great for me, because she didn't work all the time. Now, most musicians would want to be working all the time, but I could kind of see that maybe I might have a career for myself if I went out on my own.
Yeah.
So she'd be working for maybe 6 weeks, and then we could have a month off. Well, that was a month I could fill myself and see how we go. And if that happened, I figured, well, I'm going to be back with her in a month or 6 weeks anyway.
Yeah.
But I know it started to go very well. And the last band I was ever in was a band we put together to accompany Larry Cunningham on a cruise, on a Mediterranean cruise in 2007. And I had played with Larry quite a bit. And the first record I ever bought in my life was a Larry Cunningham record. So that was the last band I ever played with. I had great fun with Larry and great time.
Larry was great crack. I met him one night and he had me in stitches.
He would have. Yeah. Yes, he would have. Yes. Yeah. No.
He loved his bit of carpentry.
He did indeed. Yes, indeed. Yeah. He was mad for all that sort of thing. And but a great singer, and told me great stories about, different things that would have happened all during the years. And like when he started singing in the pre-show band days, and then the show band thing happened, and he wanted really to be a woodwork teacher.
Yeah.
But the music started to kind of take hold of him, and the band became the Mighty Avens. Had started, but they had no singer, and they came to him and asked him to be a singer, and he thought might get a couple of 18 months or something out of it.
Yeah.
And then they started to make a bit of headway, and then they got asked to do support to Jim Reeves. Jim Reeves came to Ireland in 1963, and they were doing support to him in the Pavisi Ballroom in Letterkenny. And Jim Reeves came out and wasn't happy with the piano. He had to have a piano that was in tune all the time. And after about
that sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. About 4 or 5 songs in, he sang "He'll Have to Go" and waved to the crowd and walked off the stage. This happened several times during that tour. But Larry and the boys had to come out. Larry, of course, was great at singing all the Jim Reeves songs.
Yeah.
And Larry came out and did his thing, and his fame began to grow. Then he recorded this thing called a tribute to Jim Reeves. It was written by a guy up in Dublin who was a big fan of the band, and that became very, very popular. Yeah. And that went into the Irish charts and everything. So they got that released. I must tell you a story about that now. They got that released with
So at the Jim Reeves gig, he was singing Jim Reeves songs.
He was, yeah, because Jim Reeves went home.
I love it.
Yeah, because Jim Reeves when Jim Reeves had left, and but he won them over. But he recorded this thing tribute to Jim Reeves, and it was kind of a monologue song thing. And then his record company kept at him to record more Jim Reeves songs every time they were doing a single, and this wasn't going anywhere because they already had Jim Reeves, and the thing was a kind of a novelty record, but the record company couldn't see that, and this went on 3 or 4 times, and they went over to London to meet the record executives one this particular time, and they said, "We have this song picked out for you. It's called 'There's That Smile Again.' It's a Jim Reeves song." Yeah. Larry said, "That's grand. What about the B-side? Because that time records had an A-side and a B-side." And they said, "Oh, look, put whatever you want. Put whatever you want on it. Have you something?" "Yeah," I said, "there's a song I sing at the dances going down well, kind of an Irish ballad." "Right, grand. What's it called?" "Lovely Leitrim." So that was on the B-side, and they recorded it, and the record came out anyway and got played in the Jim Reeves thing got played for maybe a week or so, and then petered out. But there was a program on RTE then called Hospitals Requests, where people who were in hospital around the country would send in requests, or people who from around the country would send requests for people who were in hospital. And somebody requested "Lovely Leitrim," and then the following week there was something like 200 or 300 requests for Lovely Leitrim, and the whole thing started to take off, and it was a huge success. And it wasn't.
That's his one song.
Yes.
If you say Larry Cunningham, that's the next line, isn't it?
That is the song. And he told me, he said at the time, all the other bands were doing pop songs. Brendan Bowyer was doing pop songs, and they interviewed Brendan Bowyer for Spotlight magazine, and they said, "Well, Brendan, what do you think of Larry bringing out this song, this Lovely Leitrim song, this old Irish song?" And Brendan Bowyer, who was friendly with him, because I saw them together years after, said, "Oh, I can't understand this at all. Why would you be bothered recording that? Oh, the great songs coming from the Beach Boys in California and Liverpool, the Beatles and the London scene and all that. There's loads of great songs."
Yeah.
And Larry says, anyway, a mock, he says, "Lovely Leitrim went to the top of the charts, and it stayed there for 6 weeks. And a fortnight later, Bowyer was singing Boule of Vogue." Well, that was the sort of fun you'd have with Larry. You know, he was a great guy to work with. He was absolutely great.
He was very. I can't tell you, but I was talking to him about that night, but he had me in stitches.
Yes, I can well imagine. I can well. He told us about the time that they were booked to play. At the time Princess Grace came to Ireland, and they were all playing up in. They were staying up in Dublin, and it was a huge banquet, £100 a plate to go to this thing.
Bloody hell!
And which in the early '60s was a lot of money. And the band booked was the Mighty Avens with Larry Cunningham, and he said we came out on the stage, and I looked around, and they were all there in their tuxedos, and this obviously she was an international Hollywood star there with Prince Rainier of Monaco. What in the name of God are we going to play for this one? So he figured she'd surely be able to waltz. So he said we start with Lovely Leitrim, and he said Rainier and her got out, and they were the first two on the floor waltzing. He said I never ever thought learning the song from my mother at home in Leitrim that I'd be singing it for Grace Kelly, dancing around the floor of a bus. But just goes to show you never know.
You never know.
You never know.
Well, Jenny, we've got a right lot of information there now today.
I feel like I've been interrogated unknown to myself. Guantanamo Bay.
I think before we hit the road, will we have another tune?
I would, if you'd like another tune, I'll play another tune for
because
you. Yes,
I think now people like to hear. What have you got in mind?
I'm not sure yet. Now I might. There's a tune I play at the dances, which is very popular for me. It's called Anto's Cajun Cousins, and it was on. It was on Sharon Shannon's first album. And I at the time I was teaching music in Allenwood, and one of my students came in and said I want to learn this tune from Sharon Shannon. And I thought it'd be the Blackbird or some of those things, but it wasn't. It was this Anto's Cajun Cousins. So I learnt it, and it turned out it was a great tune for dancing and all that sort of thing as well. So will I play you out with this one?
Oh Jesus, yeah. We'll say our few last words after this, but you bang away there.
One second now. I'm just taking off the headphones again. Now.
I want to see this machine, folks. Wow. On your marks, get set. Few notes there at the end. That was very, very impressive.
There you go, warts and all.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm after taking a couple of photographs there. This will be going up on FaceTube, folks. We'll be sharing it there. So if people want to find you, Declan, where are you next to you?
This week I'm down on Thursday. I'm in the Dolman Hotel in Carlow. Friday night I'm in Street in County, I think it's County Westmeath. Saturday night's a private function, and then Sunday night I'm over in Holland-na-Féile in Cashel for a benefit dance there. Sorry, not Holland-na-Féile in Cashel, Scouts Hall in Nina. For a benefit dance on Sunday night.
And Facebook, can people grab you on Facebook?
Oh yeah, I'm on Facebook all the time, and generally I have me dates for the coming week will be up on Facebook.
Yeah, so people can click on there.
Of course.
Under the name Declan Aungier,
Exactly.
ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
Look him up. You want to see how he always puts up a photograph as well. He always looks lovely, has the hair done immaculate and everything.
I'm very good at doing my hair, Mick. I'm getting quicker ahead all the time.
I do mine with a face lot now, and it's so handy. So, anything else you want to stick in before we go, Deco?
No, I just want to say thanks so much for having me here, Mick, because it's been a real pleasure. I often think it's a kind of a shame that you were in England all those years, because I think you and I, had we got together back in the 80s and 90s, there could have been a lot of great music and a lot of fun had. Not that we're not playing great music and having fun now, but just, it's funny how our paths almost crossed, but then you went away. And then when it came back, we are together.
Yeah, and we did gigs in Dowlands. Do you remember the Monday nights there with Brian? And you used to bring along
I played the guitar and jump in. That was great. Yeah. They were great fun.
The chicken picking.
Oh yes,
very, very, very good country guitarist. I have to say.
God of Almighty.
And I just have to tell the story before we go.
Yes.
That Declan has a thing for Telecasters. Okay, folks, and there's different coloured guitars. You might have a red sunburst, you might have a piney coloured one, you might have a natural, there's all different colours.
Yes.
But Declan has this thing where he buys one from 1964, 1965, 1968, 1942, and when he's going through, he buys them all the same colour.
That's right, yes.
So when he's walking through the kitchen, herself doesn't realise he's after buying a new guitar.
Well, I hope to God she's not listening to this podcast, Vic. You've just hung me from the highest tree.
I just cat her in a bag. But I thought that was the funniest story ever. But anyway, so look for Declan there on the Facebook, folks. And thank you very much for tuning in to episode 2. With the one and only, and I'm glad to call him my friend, Declan Aungier. Last word, Declan.
Mick, thank you so much. It's been great to be here with you, and thanks to everybody who tunes in and listens, and I hope you enjoyed the podcast. Because I'm from Allen Wood and Mick's from Prosperous, I wanted to call it a bogcast. I just thought that'd be more because until you've sat on the side of a Ferguson 20 tractor hanging off in the transport box going over Derry Mullen Bridge, you don't know what I'm talking about. Is that right, Mick?
That's right. So thank you again, Declan, and look, folks, look after yourselves, look after each other. It's a beautiful world, and thank you. See you soon. God bless.